In 1692, in the Puritan community of Salem Village, Massachusetts, 4 women were spotted escaping, kind of running off in the middle of the night by 2 of the magistrates who followed them down, where they went next to the river and started a fire. These women were Winona Ryder, Rosario Dawson, Scarlett Johansson, and Kate Mara, and they began taking off their clothes and rubbing each other in exotic oils and writhing around.
Wait, Matt, no, stop.
What?
No, we can't do that, dude. This is a true crime podcast. We can't. No, we're not gonna. No smut, man. Sorry.
Okay, well, some real bad shit happened. That's not as exciting as what I was going to tell. So let's get into it.
Really? Fuck me.
It's evil! Don't touch it!
It's alive! They're coming to get you by the power of Christ. This is me.
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Okay, see, what had happened was I got into this story because I was excited about witches, and then I got into it, and then I got angry because I was like, these people are terrible. And so I had to come up with a little some fantasy in my head to make it bearable to get.
Well, maybe leave that shit in your head. You don't have to share everything. Not everything, okay?
I want to be open with the audience.
Well, maybe that's a little too open. I don't want to get fucking sued, man. I'll send you Matt's address if you were.
Yes, well, no, you will not.
Good.
That just hit me today to do an opening like that. So I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. See how that.
Yeah. I for a second there, I was like, wait a minute, where's he going? And then just kept going. I was like, oh shit, no, you don't. Nuh-uh.
I had a little bit farther that I was going to go, but you stopped at it.
Not on my watch, mister.
Shit, how's everybody doing?
I'm good, man. I'm fucking tired, but I'm here.
That happens.
Yeah.
I get it.
I think we are rapidly approaching like over 2,000 downloads on the podcast, which is pretty fucking cool.
Yes.
That's fucking great.
For a couple guys that just decided to do this and fuck around and hang out. Good excuse to hang out. And now we have Miss Lindy.
Yes.
Who's here to fact check us and make sure we don't look like complete fucking make us look like complete fucking morons.
Make sure we look like.
Yeah, because we are, but that's okay. I'm down with that.
Fair enough.
It's the truth. So what are you gonna do?
Lindy, how much do you know about the story I'm getting ready to tell?
Well, not as much as I thought I did, that's for sure. So research definitely went into this one.
Oh boy, me too. I watched documentary after documentary and read this and read that, and I was like doing my outline, and then it was just like I'm just filling the pages in. I'm like, God, they didn't say that on there. All this shit in there. Okay, well, we got a lot.
Whole lots of dates, whole lots of names.
There's lots of dates. I tried to throw all most of the names that I could find of the victims, and I will call them victims in here. So.
Yeah. Victims of what, though? Victims of a couple little bratty bitches that decided they didn't like so-and-so. And
I'll get into that. I'll get into that at the end because...
Playing a little game? Yeah.
Once you get that started, though, you kind of gotta...
It's just like... I
gotta follow through.
The whole thing, like I told you before, it's like this whole thing reminds me of like, this would be if my children didn't flush the toilet, and then they said, well, the devil made me do it.
Definitely did.
So, yeah.
What do you guys know about the Puritans? Because
I hear they're pretty pure.
Pretty pure.
oh boy, yeah,
Pure evil.
They believe that their way of life was just it. This is it. You have to follow this way. The devil's absolutely real. Go ahead if you was going to say something.
I was going to say they're the bee's knees.
Yeah. And their thing was whenever the great migration of Puritans coming to America in the 1630s, they believed that the Catholic Church and all other churches a little bit too laid back.
Yeah.
You're not hard enough on it. It's fire and brimstone nonstop because that's how it is. So they could practice their religion any way they wanted to here.
Right.
So, witches and the devil, blame for everything. And from 1500 to 1660, it is estimated that between 50,000 to 80,000 suspected witches were executed in Europe.
Yep.
And about 80% of those were women because, well, women were more frail than men. And so, way easier for the devil to take them in.
Hey, maybe they were still too sassy. He had to tell her twice. You know what I'm saying?
It got to the point to where it's like, hey, you want to divorce your wife? Tough shit, you can. It's illegal. But if she's a witch, problem solved. Yeah. She caught you with a mistress. Oh, God, that witch was invisible when she caught me because she's a witch. And I could see that going on in court. It's like, well, yeah, Your Honor. Yes, I did. Yep. Yes, I did have sex with that woman, but the only reason she's seen me because her spirit showed up. I'd burn her.
I'd blame the witch. Be like, she made me do it.
So, while burning at the stake was the most common way of murdering them in Europe, New England Puritans chose hanging.
But they didn't do it the right way, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it would have been the quick fall, break the neck. I think it was just to kick the ladder out and
just watch him for like maybe up to fucking 20 minutes before.
I heard, it could take that long.
Yeah. No neck breakage. They didn't measure out the rope.
The bad thing about the Salem village was that even other Puritans around the area thought that these guys might have been a little
too hardcore.
Too hardcore with the Bible. And there was constant disputes over property lines, church privileges, grazing grounds, changing ministers. And
if let's say in this Puritan community, if you're one of the people in this Puritan community, let's say you had a failed crop. Well, that's God just punishing you. Nobody's going to fucking help you. You're on your own.
Oh, it was up until a point, because once you had a failing crop here later, that is somebody's fault. The devil's. And he definitely told this woman, who was most likely not a church member and probably homeless, that she should afflict you. Don't better your situation.
Jesus
Stupid
Christ.
Devil didn't let me better my situation yet.
Where the fuck was Ben Franklin when this was going on?
I'll get into it. You worry.
That dirty motherfucker.
They were constantly changing ministers, probably because they weren't radical enough. They weren't too hardcore. James Bailey was minister from 1673 to 1679, and George Burroughs was minister from 1680 to 1683. And both left because they weren't getting paid what they were supposed to be paid.
Right. Wasn't there like something to, like a dispute over like firewood? Is it?
There was a dispute over everything in this. These people were so fucking bored with living.
Pretty fickle. Yeah.
So they both left after not getting paid. Deodat Lawson, he served from 1684 to 1688, but he left because the church refused to ordain him. Once again, probably not hardcore enough. So the church just went out on their own to find Reverend Samuel Parris. And this is where the story begins, in his home, because his daughter Betty, who was 9, and his niece Abigail Williams, who was 11, started having fits and convulsing and diving under furniture and screaming, seeing things, getting bitten.
We call those temper tantrums in our house.
This was the devil. Now, I'll tell you how they knew that, because various unnamed doctors came by, but they couldn't figure it out. So you know what happens? It's the devil.
Okay.
But this is not the first time, because it's 1688, 4 Boston children, sons and daughters of a stone layer named John Goodwin, had similar symptoms. And so Minister Cotton Mather claimed to observe the children and claiming they would fly around and be beat by invisible instruments like sticks and whips.
Wow.
But I'll get into that, because he was a religious writer, and that's how he made his money. So
I get it.
Maybe a little bit of bullshit.
Is he a Puritan?
I mean, there was.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What is he?
Fucking nuts.
Fair enough. So
Just a wee bit. Yeah.
He did have one of the daughters, Martha Goodwin, came to stay with him a while so he could evaluate her and write about it. And she would whistle through prayers like some kind of heathen. And she would even try to attack people who were saying prayers, like throwing books at him and stuff. So he comes to the logical conclusion that she's obviously afflicted by a local woman. And this woman was brought on the stand, and to prove that she wasn't a witch, she needed to recite the Lord's Prayer, which they told her over and over and over again, but she couldn't say it. So she's a witch, and she was hanged on November 16th, 1688.
Jesus Christ.
The only problem I have with there's a lot of problems I have with this, but one of the biggest problems that I have with this is she was Irish and only spoke Gaelic. So I don't care how many times you tell me the Lord's Prayer in Gaelic, I am not going to be able to recite that thing back to you. I'm just not going to be able to do it.
Oh,
that's not even close. Gaelic is so weird and chopped up. Crazy. But that was the last person hanged in Boston proper, though, for this sort of thing.
Okay.
Okay, but the two girls that were in the house that I mentioned earlier, these doctors knew that they were bewitched by somebody. And after constant, going after these girls, asking them who it was, they came up with some people to point the finger at.
Okay.
And Putman was another girl, and they were all pressured into saying these things. You got to name who the witches are. And so they went like, well, let's figure out who.
Was it like an eeny, meeny, miny witch?
I think it was who can we blame and not get in trouble for.
Or, yeah, they did pick people that were already not really well liked in the community, correct? Or like
Tituba was a slave of Reverend Paris.
Right.
Sarah Good was a homeless woman who didn't attend church, and Sarah Osborne, an old woman who married her indentured servant and also didn't attend church. Their magical powers.
Servant, you mean she married her slave?
Yeah, I was trying to be classy.
Yeah, yeah.
Or is it it's just as bad? And it's really
it's the same thing. Yeah, but
okay. So they didn't use their magical powers to better their situations. One's still a slave, one's still a homeless woman, the other's an old lady. So they didn't get young. They did. By the way, Sarah Osborne died in prison awaiting trial.
Right.
So why did they pick these women? Well, yeah, it's because nobody would come at them. They'd be like, well, yeah, absolutely.
If we get rid of those bitches right there.
Yeah.
Witches need stitches. I mean,
didn't better the witches' situation, but it bettered the community's situation.
Yeah.
Well,
trying to
gets worse.
Reminiscent of Nazism in Germany.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of the riffraff.
And I think I mentioned it later in here, but I'll say it right now, is like the best way not to be accused of being a witch is to accuse somebody else of being a witch.
Right.
Like, I'm clear now. Gee whiz, that person's a witch. So thank goodness I'm in the clear. I had to get that out of the way.
What about good Christians, just
the best.
If you accuse me of being a witch, when I'm in there and I'm given names so that I can get my ass out, I'm going to accuse you of being a witch. So,
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, of course he knew I was a witch. We were in it together.
Right?
We were part of the same covenant. He's trying to take my place. Yeah, exactly.
No, when they name
Remember that mole I took off your face for you?
when they name these girls, did they make some sort of special cake?
Where are you going with this?
You know where I'm going with this, Lindy?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had a witch cake, Matt?
No.
Do you want me to make you one?
I don't know what the fuck it is.
Lindy, would you like to enlighten Matt on what a witch cake is?
Well, it kind of depends on the period of time.
I believe this one had something to do with urine.
Yeah. Witch cakes were.
Oh, what they made is okay. I know where you're going now. Go ahead, keep going though. Keep doing it now. Okay, now it makes sense. I didn't hear.
Witch cakes were made with special dough to cause pain or illness
bidding
to the person that they were given to. Can't imagine why, just pissed right in a thing of dough before I made it for you, or, scratch skin cells, or put my hair in there.
Some people have a yearning for urine,
There are things. There are people.
Yeah.
So on March 1st of 1692, I'm just going 1692. This whole shit. Unless I say a different date. That's when this is happening.
1692.
1600. Okay. They were examined by the local magistrates, John Hawthorne and Jonathan Corwin, in the Salem Village Meeting House. Both Sarahs denied the allegations, but Tituba eventually confessed to practicing witchcraft. Now, this is after relentless questioning and, she was a slave, so
beating, yeah.
So just
And then she was.
They like to leave that part out.
Coached on what to say.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Because her
birds
owner
showed up.
was trying to clean up some other riffraff that probably owed him money or fucked him over.
And it started in his house, so he's got to take care of this. You got to get in front of that.
Yeah.
And she
So
claimed
what you're
that
saying is
what?
she confessed
Yeah.
of her own free will.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. She was like, oh yeah, you nailed me.
But she wasn't free. So how does that work?
So she said that Benjamin Franklin forced her to eat hot pizza rolls if she did not afflict the children.
That motherfucker. Fucking hate that guy. Say we burn him.
With hot pizza rolls?
Hot pizza
Fuck
rolls.
yeah.
That's what you get, Ben. Son of a bitch. That's why everybody worships Ben. No, she said the devil came to her and made her sign his book, which she did, and told her to afflict these children or she would be killed.
Or be afflicted herself.
And then she told of other witches that were around. So here we go. Yeah,
And it's on.
Finger pointing.
Game on, bitches.
You got it. It's starting to really ramp
I mean,
up now.
game on, witches. Sorry.
These three women were taken to prison in Boston to await trial. And now, I mean, okay, other girls in the community started showing afflictive behavior too and more finger pointing. So it's like they almost seen it, hey, these other girls don't have to do chores anymore. They're just getting taken care of all the time. And they're like, everybody's got their attentions on them.
Yep.
That's crazy, huh? So surely it was witches. So Martha Corey and Rebecca Nurse were accused, but they were full members of the church. So now the girls are just getting out there a little bit, okay? Because of the 500 people in Salem Village, about 80 of them were full members. And that means you have to get in front of the congregation and explain why your soul belongs to Christ, and they have to accept you. These men have to accept you. So we're stepping on some steep shit now, right?
Yeah. Steep, spiky shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that the afflicted children could see things that others couldn't. So it had to be real because God wouldn't allow these children to see something if it wasn't actually there, right?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they would magically be afflicted.
Yep.
So like if I would just like reach behind you and grab a beer out of your fridge like this and open it,
Son of a bitch.
fucking magically afflicted you. Thanks for the beer, Matt, by the way.
Took one of the holes.
Tasty delicious. Especially since I didn't pay for it.
I might have to take a break during this episode.
I can do this all day.
Okay. So anyone could be a witch now. Like say you're walking down the street and you say hi to somebody, they didn't hear you and they just walk on by.
Yeah.
Then you go home and your crops fail. Something happened. A fucking chicken died. That son of a bitch was a witch that just cursed you into bad luck, and it's time to go talk to somebody about it.
Jesus Christ.
So there were ways to find out if they were a witch, though, Zach. So calm down. They weren't just going all at it all willy-nilly. There was a thing called a witch's teat, and that's where you would have been bitten by Ben Franklin, and that's where familiars would feed.
Fucking Ben Franklin.
So
No,
that's
their familiars would be like what? Like cats?
cats,
or
lizards, frogs, birds, yellow birds, red birds. Whatever. Yeah, they said they saw all sorts.
Yellow birds too, right? Because yellow was the couple of
Tituba said that it was
the
yellow.
Ben Franklin. I mean the devil.
You know he's coming. Yellowbird,
Yeah.
watch your ass. Old Benny's coming. So the accused would be stripped naked to find the witch's teat. And that could be any blemish on your body. You got a mole in some place? There it is. You happen to have a zit that day somewhere? There it is. Birthmark, you are fucked.
Fucked.
Because that's never going away. Yeah. So you're in trouble.
Well, punch me twice and call me fucking witchy.
So the children just go nuts at these trials. Like,
Yeah.
you can tell the lady that was on trial.
They all want to be on American Witch Idol, right?
And they were going for the gold. Yeah, they all wanted the golden buzzer. Which one's that on? Is that America's Got Talent? Wherever the golden buzzer is, they wanted it, and they were going on. So, but I got to think, like, it's trouble if you stop now. Like, if these girls quit doing what they're doing.
Oh yeah, they're all going to be fucked.
Yeah,
because
you're not going to get the attention anymore.
It's a crime to accuse someone of being a witch.
And these girls would have been hanged, and without a bat of an eye by these people. They wouldn't have cared.
Fucking Puritans, man.
But the problem is the Massachusetts Bay Colony Charter was revoked in 1684. So without a legal government, accused witches couldn't have a trial. They could only have hearings, which were super duper fair. It will say that. And local jails were filling up with accused witches while the government waited for a new charter. They were also charged money for being in jail. Did you know that it was like a luxury hotel?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Since you were charged money to be in there. And the new charter didn't come in until 1692. The Court of Oyer and Terminer was made to investigate.
Oyer and Terminer.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe it's Oyer and Terminer. Oyer!
I only read it. I didn't go on, and I just assumed it was.
It's all good.
What Zach said, they were designed to investigate witchcraft allegations. So, not fair trials, no representation. The jury was made up of, guess who? Men who were landowners and members of the church.
Basically, anybody that was a well-to-do member of the community. Mm-hmm. So
if you were found guilty, which means that you had plead innocence to be found guilty.
Right.
If you pled to, I'm guilty, they would keep you alive as a witness kind of thing. So if you said, no, I'm not a witch, you're going to Gallows Hill and you won't get a Christian burial.
Yeah.
So Bridget Bishop was 60 and she was the first to be found guilty and she was hanged June 10th. 60.
Now she was, what was her name again?
Bridget Bishop.
Bridget Bishop. And she had been accused of witchcraft before, I believe, like 15 years prior, by a man that said he had been accosted by her in his sleep, like with witchery.
Yeah, but that spectral evidence can happen because if you're sleeping and something happens, it's still real if they're a witch.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, she was like a hermit, I believe, if this is the one I'm thinking of. And she kind of didn't go to church. So she was...
Those are the ones.
Yeah, they're just like, well, fucking get rid of this one. So they wanted... That was like a easy one for them. That's why they picked her first.
Mm-hmm. And she was quoted as saying, I am no witch. I am innocent. I know nothing of it. Or however long it took to suffer.
That'll do, witch. That'll do.
Here's the part where I think it gets interesting, because Rebecca Nurse was 71. She was tried on June 30th, 1692. She was a loved church member. There was people in the crowd saying, you can't do this. She is a godly woman. So she was found not guilty. Guess what happens when she's found not guilty? The kids go crazy.
Yeah.
And then guess what happens? Anyway, she was hanged on July 19th, 1692. Because some kids jumped into a panic when you said, not guilty. What? They might think we're lying, which we are. So we're going to throw a panic and you hang that bitch so we can keep this charade going.
And fuck you, Ben Franklin. It's all your fault.
So Susanna Martin, Elizabeth Howe, Sarah Good, Sarah Wild.
Was she really good?
No, apparently.
Was she really wild?
Both of them, yeah, I think so. Because the Sarah Osborne, she died in prison.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, well, you talked about that. Okay.
Yeah.
But they were all also hanged on July 19th. So they just had like a hanging party. Because they all proclaimed innocence until the end. So over 50 people falsely confessed to being witches. Some of them actually believe in, hey, you know what? I might actually be a witch. They were so far into this shit that they thought, hey,
Fuck it.
Yeah, I gotta be. They said I was, and that this guy knows everything. I've been listening to him my whole life, telling me about how good God is, and then something happened bad, and I was blamed. It must have been that time that I said, "Damn it," under my breath when I smashed my thumb with a hammer.
I think we're all fucked then.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll save you a seat by the broken air conditioner. Okay.
Sounds great. Sounds super comfortable.
I say, you motherfucker, if I drop something on accident. So if you confess and cooperated, you wouldn't be tried immediately. So that's the thing. Maybe you'd have a chance.
Yeah. A lot of people actually, when some of these accusations would start, a lot of these people just fucking jetted out and they left Salem. Isn't that right? And
Yes.
they'd head for Baston.
I'm gonna
They'd
bail.
just go start over. But a lot of these people couldn't because they were poor.
No. And if you said that you were tried immediately, well, not immediately, but closer to immediately, and then you were found guilty automatically if you didn't go ahead and confess to it. So then you're hanged. So none who were confessed were executed. They were kept around as witnesses because you might need them in a later trial as a witness to.
So basically, if you told the truth and you stood up for what you actually believed in and tried to maintain some sort of character, you got
Yeah, if you tried to be a Christian,
yeah,
then they'd hang you.
yeah,
These super Christians.
which is the most Christian thing you could do.
That's basically how it goes, I feel.
Yeah.
Martha Carrier, John Willard, George Burroughs, John Proctor, and George Jacobs Sr. They were all hanged on August 19th, 1692 for maintaining their innocence as well.
Now, which one was the barkeeper? He was the last one hanged, I believe.
Was it George Jacobs?
That sounds right. Yeah.
This is my favorite one. Okay, it's bad, but it's also my favorite one. Giles Corey. He refused to enter a plea. He wouldn't say either one. He wouldn't say either way.
Right.
So on September 19th, he was taken out. They put a long, flat piece of wood on him and just started piling rocks on him to get him to confess to being a witch. And each time they asked him if he's a witch, he said, "More weight." And I even heard that the Reverend came out there and his tongue was hanging out of his mouth, would shove it back in with his cane and say, "More weight, put more weight on him." He laid there until he was crushed to death, and the motherfucker was 81 years old.
Yeah. It took 3 days, I believe, too.
Yeah, would not admit to being a witch. And they were like, "Oh, yeah, he's the biggest kind of witch," because he will not admit.
I'm super surprised that that's the only person that they used.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Well, because he wouldn't say one way or another. That was what they were. They were like, "Wait, what? He did? We need to call him. Take a break here. Take a break. Let's go talk this over."
Yeah.
What do we do? What do we do if they say they're a witch? We throw them in prison. Okay. What do we do if they say they're not a witch? We hang them. What if they don't answer at all?
Then we're going
Rocks.
to use the pinfoot to do.
Just we press him out of him. We press it out of him right there. Yeah.
So in July, Ann Foster, who was 72, and her neighbor Martha. Now, Ann Foster was accused of being a witch, but she said, "Oh, yeah, I am. But my neighbor Martha, way bigger witch than me. She is into this shit. Pretty hardcore."
She's the one pissing in your cakes.
Witch's cake coming from Martha. I don't do that, okay?
They're tasty, delicious.
So that Cotton guy comes back up in this one. So, yeah, this is where I read that he was a religious author. And, yeah, so probably bullshit. But their stories were that they flew out one night, right, to a witch's Sabbath that was being held in a meadow, which actually sounds pretty fucking badass. Yeah. But they flew out on brooms, and there was 25 others in attendance, but they didn't know who all of them were. It was officiated by a minister, but Anne didn't know who the minister was, so Mary Lacey Jr. comes in, that's Anne's daughter, or Mary Lacey's Anne's daughter, that she comes in. Then Mary Lacey Jr. even comes in because they're all getting accused after this. It's like they must have all been present. And so they were getting baptized by Ben Franklin himself. And so more people are brought in. So they just keep adding to the
doing
story.
lines off Ben's boobies with $100 bill with Ben's
Damn
face on
right.
it.
With the devil, just baptisms. So after more are brought in, Cotton, he finally finds out who the minister was by somebody, and guess who it was? George Burroughs. Oh. You remember that name from earlier?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. He was gonna preach to him, but then they wouldn't pay him, so he left.
Yeah.
Fucking
And
devil.
he was one that went to Boston, right?
Yeah.
And then they go and track him down.
Now he wasn't there physically, Zach.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But if you're best friends with Ben Franklin, you don't have to be there physically. His specter would show up and attack people.
Right on.
Right. This is where the spectral evidence comes in, which means if you come in and say, I had a dream that he was there choking me, son of a bitch is guilty because he can't prove he wasn't there.
Jesus Christ.
You see how this works now?
And this is why I don't go to church much anymore.
I don't know what was you actually going to a church that was close to this at any time in your life?
Pay no attention to the man grabbing another beer from your fridge, Matt.
You son of a...
I'm a witch. Burn me.
I've got spectral evidence. On
Actually,
camera.
you don't.
On
Actually, you
camera.
don't. I took it. There's nothing. You don't have nothing. Yeah. Your wife's going to be like, how many beers did you drink, Matt?
Oh, well, all you would really have to say in a record of law is you thought it was yours anyway. Or it might be yours.
This might be mine.
It might be mine. Fair enough.
I was close enough to reach it.
Yeah.
It might be mine.
Martha Corey, Margaret Scott, Mary Etsy, Alyssa Parker, Ann Pudater, Wilmot Reed, Samuel Wardwell, and Mary Parker were all hanged on September 22nd, 1692, after all of them claimed they were not witches after being accused of being witches. They just would have parties. Now, if it's taken, say some of them 5 minutes, some of them 10 minutes, that's like an all day. That's just like unless they're doing it all at once, which I don't think they did. I think they
took
one
they
at a time.
waited till one. They waited till one died, and then they would kill another one. And I would hate to be the last one.
And I didn't know if you guys knew this, but Salem actually means peace. So that's working out well.
Yeah.
So Mary Etsy wrote while she was in prison, I petition to your honors, not for my own life, for I know I must die, and my appointed time is set. But the Lord, he knows it, is that if it be possible, no more innocent blood may be shed. So she was just like,
she
was just like, no, I'm dying because I'm not going to admit to this. So I just hope that they learn their lesson. It's like, how badass is that?
That's a person with a lot of character.
Yeah. And by the fall, over 150 people had been accused of witchcraft. Now, there was only 500 people in this village. And then how many fucking skedaddled after all this fiasco started? 150. It was just constant. Well, this happened to me. Must be a witch. Must be a witch.
Must be a witch.
So this is my favorite part. The other part was pretty close. That poor bastard, tough son of a bitch. But this is my favorite part. One of the girl accuses the governor's wife of being a witch. And then they're like, whoa, shit. Okay. Well, this
Wait a minute. Wait. Just wait.
We can be honest with
Maybe
ourselves.
it's time we cool our jets. Maybe we've taken this a little too far out of hand. Maybe we should just fucking, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's just move along.
I love that so much. Well, who is the next witch? It's your wife, governor. What the fuck? That can't be true. Get it?
Wait a minute. Nah.
She's
She
not
has
caught
been
me,
baking a lot of cakes.
and she's not caught me cheating that I know of.
Yeah.
Governor William Phipps, he dissolved the court of, what is it? I said Oyer and Terminier, but you said it was
Oye.
Oyer is more French
Oyer.
sounding.
Termine. Yeah.
On October 29th, and the Superior Court was created to try the remaining cases, but no one else was hanged. Tituba was sold back into slavery to pay her jail bills off. How do you think she was treated in jail? Probably like shit, right?
Fucking.
Well, you owe us a lot of money.
You're probably rubbing
Compared
her
to.
feet.
Yeah. I was going to say, compared to being.
she was a witch.
Stars. 5
Whatever
stars.
She could make him do whatever she wanted while she was in there.
So January 14th, 1697, Massachusetts Bay Colony ordered a day of fasting in remembrance for the tragedy. People apologized, but it was still Ben Franklin that made it happen. Like when they were writing down their apologies, they were still like, yes, I said this, and yes, it wasn't true, but it was the devil that made me sad. So you can still, it's still Benny. And then the girl story, once again, I was going to get into. It's like, but once again, you couldn't stop after you started. I mean, you
At that
like,
point,
if you went
you're
back
fucked
on
if
that,
you-
yeah.
Yeah.
So 1711, the colony passed a bill restoring the names of those accused and granted retribution to their heirs. And in 1992, so this is a minute later, the Salem Village
minutes.
Witchcraft Victims Memorial was built in Danvers, Massachusetts, which was Salem Village then, to honor the innocent.
Wow.
Fun story, huh? Don't you wish I would have went on with my opening?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. I do. Now that I've stolen all your beers, yeah.
Son of a...
The only person you didn't bring up.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, do this. It's a great name, and I should have put it in there.
Well, I think one of the accused, their last name was Whore, and their first name was. Go ahead. You want to say it?
I don't really say it.
All right. It's a lady named Dingus Whore. How the fuck did you miss that one, Matt? Come on.
No one's going to take that seriously.
Well,
I
I'm
think
just
everything
saying.
else I said,
How the
everybody
fuck
took
did you
seriously.
miss that? What'd you find her? Oh, we found her in the whole house.
Must be a witch.
Her last name really was Whore, though. Yeah, for real.
So yeah, I wanted to say funny things, but I also
Her mother was a whore. Her father was a whore. Her children were all whores.
would have been ours too.
Her husband was not a whore. He was a pimp.
You got to snuff the weed out at the root, man.
Yeah. Can't believe you missed that one. Jesus Christ. I was waiting the whole time for that. And I was like, when's he going to say it? When's he going to say it? He never said it.
So much, and I was
It's all right. It's all right.
trying to kind of streamline it because all that stuff Cotton said, I wanted to leave a bunch of that out because he was talking about children flying through the air and riding spectral steeds and like for
Now,
like
when he had to ask the British Empire for delegation to do this Oye Termine thing, and he never mentioned that the reason he was doing this was to try a bunch of fucking people that they assumed were witches.
and the main reason for doing that was so he could write about it and make money.
Exactly.
Well, and there were a lot of writers at the time that were, I mean, they had like spectral magazines and stuff at the time. So there was one writer, Glanville, I think, and he wrote, like, you have to believe in demons because to deny that there's ghosts or paranormal or demons is to deny God and angels because,
You can't have one without the other.
yeah, you can't have one without the other. So he kind of
Only
started
makes
an
sense.
uproar with all of that on his own, you know, plus all of this. That was basically their smut magazines of the time, was to read about spectral.
I think
Well, I think the Puritans were full of pure bullshit. Sounds like they're just like,
especially those. I mean that
it sounds
not
like,
even around anymore.
like I said, it sounds like it started off with a bunch of little kids being like, this sounds like fun. Let's fuck around and do this. And then they're like, oh shit, now we got to say so-and-so. And now we
I think it started off with throwing a fucking massive fit and then being like, how do we not get in trouble for this?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
somebody else did it to us, and now we're getting pampered and taken care of, and we don't have to.
I don't want
do
an
chores,
ass
we don't
woman,
have to-
so let's watch somebody fucking get hung. Yeah.
Yeah. And then once one of them's hanged, you're just like, oh shit, well, somebody else has to do it to us or we're okay. Start pointing more
Yeah.
fingers.
I still want to act like a little piece of shit. So yeah, we got to blame somebody else now.
One woman was told to stand in front of the girl that had accused her and smile at her. And if she could do that and the afflicted didn't react to it, then she was innocent. That's a fair court.
Yeah. What was the there was a witch's touch thing too, where they claim that if one of these supposed witches touched one of these girls that were afflicted and they stopped acting like that, well then, yeah, that must be why they're.
And I even watched some things. I watched a couple documentaries that was pretty bare bones about it. They were just like, these are facts. They didn't go into what they were accused of. They just said, well, they were accused of being witches, and then this happened. And they said some of the girls in the courts, like even when they were up there, like their parents would like yell at them and tell them to stop, and then they would quit for a second before they would go back into it. So it was like,
Well, I think by the end, they all had been through this so much that they could just fucking feed off of each other.
oh, they had it down. Yeah.
Yeah. Little bitches.
So
Fuck you,
anyway,
Ben Franklin. Fuck you, Ben Franklin.
back to the river scene that I created in the beginning. They-
This is the part where I'm just going to go beep
I
for the next fucking 45 seconds.
I think it's important to tell people too that there were 19 people who were actually
Yeah.
executed
And
for it. So over the 200,
4 men.
4 men.
Yeah.
And then-
Which is odd.
there was a few that actually died in prison waiting
Yeah.
because of malnourishment and just the terrible conditions that they were in. I can only imagine living in a house back then with shit, so I can't imagine what the prisons were like.
Yeah, and overcrowded on top of it. So
Fighting
Welcome-
off rats so you can
welcome the
sleep.
plague and welcome.
Yeah.
What did we die of in Oregon Trail? Distemper.
You died of everything in Oregon Trail. Nobody got through that.
Everyone dies. End of story. No, you cannot win that game.
Hang on a second. I'm going to turn my wagon into a boat. Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
We're all dead. Let's start over.
Yep.
Dysentery.
I actually felt glad that Tidula didn't die. This reminded me of like a Tarantino movie. Just like, oh, she gets blamed. She gets blamed by all these white people for being a witch, and then she gets to turn around and accuse them all of being witches and gets to kill a bunch of them. I was like, that sounds like a pretty damn good Tarantino flick. I'd watch that.
She didn't actually end up
Return of
winning.
events.
At the end when she was sold back. It was like, you got to pay for your time you spent here.
She
I
survived.
mean, that hell that I was living in, I probably look like a fucking skeleton as I'm leaving because I haven't eaten.
Right.
I couldn't beat the rats to get to my meal.
Hey man, you've got your fucking Winona Ryder thing going on in your head. Just let me have this. Okay.
That's fair.
Jesus Christ. Fuck. For the fuck's sake, boy.
I'll be out for about 3 minutes here.
Okay. Do you need a little time?
You go back to the shower to do what Heaven's Gate couldn't.
Oh shit.
I'm thinking about it. I just got out of it before we started. I'm back in there.
Well, Lindy, did we miss anything? I mean, we missed some stuff, but I mean, that's the
I
general.
think we may have added some things here. So-
What? What? That's not the case.
Also,
What about Ben
out of
Franklin?
curiosity, if they were witches are like, they can do, or at least when I think of witches, they can do things. So why didn't they just slip out of the
Do 'em?
news or fly away on their brooms or
I think
how did they end up staying?
I think you're underestimating the power of the judge's wigs and what that will dispel upon them.
Yeah.
Like those white wigs, that's why they wore those, because that was like the early tinfoil hat,
Right.
which is
But-
power away. And I don't
Still
know.
pretty sure that if I had been there, I would have turned them all into news.
Yes. We should turn
First
me
thing
into
they
a
do
new.
is they
Not bad.
when they incarcerate them, they take
Not
their
bad.
broom, they take their wand, they take their cauldron, and then at that point, what do you got? If you can't go, Wingardium Leviosa. What do you
Just sounded. They
gotta
spent all
fuck
their
is what you
juice.
are.
They spent all their juice afflicting those kids. Apparently, they were waiting for their payback. They
Yeah.
got caught just in time for that. Ben Franklin came back to bless them all their wishes that they asked for.
By the way, if
I
you don't
think you
get
get 6.
if you don't get any of these Ben Franklin references,
true, I didn't
you probably should go back and listen to the Jersey Devil episode.
Every time we say Ben Franklin, we mean the devil.
We mean the devil. Sorry, Aaron. You're the devil too. But yeah,
The devil in Georgia.
yeah. He's the devil that went down to Georgia. Well, guys, you got anything else to add?
I want to show the free things again, just
You
in
wanna show
case
some free
somebody.
shit?
Yeah, I got free shit for stories that come in.
What kind of stories? Hopefully not like the fucking Winona Ryder thing that you were just talking about, because I don't want to
Well,
fucking.
just
I'm not
DM
answering
me.
that fucking email. I'm just gonna forward it right to
Do
you.
it. Just do a PM. And then-
Nice.
Okay, got some koozies, as they call them. We have a coffee mug or, vodka, whiskey mug, whatever you want to put in. It's whatever you want. And then I found 2 more things that I would like to give away to anybody that comes in with a good story, because I have season 1 and season 2 of Ash versus Evil Dead on Blu-ray.
Holy
There's
shit.
nothing wrong with these. It's just when the third one came out,
They were
it
all
would
together.
save room if I just bought the box set. So I did. So I've got these.
Holy
They were
shit,
watched
dude.
once.
I'm going to come up with some bullshit story and make it up. And I'm going to.
No, they're not. No, I don't even know your address. So I'm not even going to ask you.
Okay.
I'm not sending these to you. Those will be for somebody with a listener story. That's pretty great. And my mom and dad actually told me a good one today, but I'll save that probably for
Do the live stream.
STS.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, we are doing live streams every week, Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you want to come and hang out with us there and chime in and tell us what stupid fucking Ben Franklins we are, feel free to do so.
Or if something cool's happened to you, or
Yeah,
scary,
we'd rather hear that shit. But
terrifying even. Bring it.
you can still call me a stupid ass Ben Franklin too. I'll take it. I've been called much worse. So
Just throw it into your story. And the ghost
Gotcha.
said, Zach's a stupid ass Ben Franklin.
Nailed it.
I heard it.
you
I heard it loud
stupid-ass
and clear.
Ben Franklin.
Comes a mug.
Somebody make a T-shirt quick.
I actually thought about that too when I was doing this story. I was like, man, we need a Benjamin Franklin's the Devil T-shirt. It's like the $100 bill with maybe horns coming out of it.
And a tail coming out of the back. Yeah, I can see it. All right, we just came up with that. We copyright HMFP POD
Verbal copyright.
2023.
It might be.
Copyright HMFP POD. All rights reserved.
No, it's fine. I already mailed it to myself. It's stamped.
It's in the mail.
Remember that old school shit?
Yes, the poor man's copyright. Yeah, I know it all too well.
Anybody that ever made a CD back when we were making CDs knows exactly what the fuck we're talking.
Yeah, they're like, "What the fuck's a CD?" Just
We
get
bring up
wary.
VHSs and CDs.
The fuck's a VHS? How do you pronounce that?
I know how to spell it.
I know how to spell it too. All right. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I'm gonna call it. Anyone? A 1, a 2,
Okay, we're going back to that.
a 3. Guys, thanks again for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
Please continue to like, rate, and review the podcast. If you would like to get a hold of us, please email us at hmfppod@gmail.com, or you can email us to the website, which is hmfppod.com. Thanks for hanging out. My name is Zach,
Spar.
Lindy.
and we will see you next Tuesday. Until then, later.
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 It's evil! Don't touch it!
They're coming to get you. What a power of Christ.
Hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
So here's what we're going to do.
But we got to do something before they find out about all this land that we have acquired from these women dying.
They
So if we
must have just died on their own, and that's where we're going to go with. Everybody good with that? Everyone?
Are we-
Everyone good?
Are you
Good?
suggesting
Good?
devil? Should we, still
Sure.
the devil, though.
Devil. Yes.
Let's like the
Ben
devil?
Franklin. Let's do it. Yeah, sounds good.
we move on to the next thing to hate. What do we hate now? In 19, fuck. I had it the first time we went through, and then okay.